Hey guys, so it's a 12-team Superflex PPR start 10.
Mhm.
I'd be giving Cooper Cup and I'd
Yes.
be getting Brandon Ayuk in a 24 first. Now, I think this is going to be mid. You never know, but kind of middle of the road team. What do you think?
But first of all, you should always assume that a future first is going to be mid, just because, well, then you have a better understanding or an idea of where it's going to be, and you can live with it, right? But yeah, no, yeah, Cup's out of here. See you, pop pop.
Doesn't matter where your team is. Always take trades like this. Always take trades like this in February when someone's actually going to offer them to you. And especially if it's a player like Cup where you're probably going, I could justify selling him, but I'm going to lose those points. So someone's just kind of bailed you out. With the perfect process deal, you can still play Ayuk in a start 10. You've banked to 24 first, and you don't have to use it or decide on it for a long time down the road. Do it.
So that's kind of the theme I had in mind for this show is, kicking the can down the road. The amount of fantasy points that Cooper Cup scored while he was healthy last year versus what Ayuk scores. I know you banked that 24 first, but we're giving up a lot of fantasy points. So how do we still make process trades but not lose a chance of winning a championship if we can legitimately make a run?
Well, you don't trade Cooper Cup for someone like Michael Gallup in a first. You don't go, all right, I'll take Cooper Cup for Rashad Bateman in a first. You don't go, all right, well, I'll take here's Cooper Cup and you give me, I don't know, I'm thinking of some other wide receiver right below that tier in a couple seconds. Like I see a lot of times people just take a bunch of random seconds and think that that equals a first, and it doesn't. Not in any equation. And I'm pretty good at math.
So I'm going to give an example. Let's say you have a team. This is not actually likely to be the case for anybody out there, but let's say I have a team that I have Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Cup, and Devontae Adams, right? I have all four. And I'm going, my team is aging out. I didn't win the championship last year. Is it possible that I make this same trade with all four of those guys? The answer is yes, right? You get a receiver and you get a first. You trade that same deal to four different teams. You pick up 424 firsts, and you still have four receivers that are quote unquote like threshold receivers that you can throw into your receiver spots / flexes. Here's probably what's going to happen. A couple of those teams are going to contend. Their firsts are going to be at the bottom. They're not going to be willing to probably trade their Diggs or Cup or Adams or Tyreek because they're winning. They're going to acknowledge during the season, hey, I'm riding this Tyreek Hill for another year. I'm not trading him. I need his points. Now it gets to the offseason, they're going to try to shop him, but they're going to be right where you are right now, but a year past. I think the other thing is there's a chance one or two of those teams goes, oh shit, I'm not winning. I need to now sell my Cooper Cup that I bought 6 months ago and I traded my first away. And I need to now sell Cooper Cup because I'm struggling. I'm fading, right? I want to still go for it, but it would be nice if I could get some draft capital back. And I think that's the idea with where Dynasty is right now. There's so many good receivers that are old and still producing, and there's a ton of running backs in the same situation. You're just banking that a couple of those teams are going to fall out. And what are you going to be able to do? Probably buy your Cooper Cup back for maybe that first, maybe less. But that's the idea. You may not buy him back, but you're buying something back at a later time when you have more information. So I think that's the biggest thing of why you take this trade in February, especially, regardless of where your team is.
How about this one right here? Hurts and Chark for Watson and Tyreek. 12-team Superflex, half PPR, start 10.
Can I trade Tyreek Hill for a 24 first and another receiver?
Probably, but you should be taking Watson and Tyreek anyway, because the delta between Watson and Hurts is much, much smaller than Tyreek and Chark. Chark's not even a threshold receiver. Chark in the start 10, he shouldn't see your roster until like start 13, right? So this dude is just bench fodder. Like he's someone that you should probably be cutting in like 3 months after the Lions cut him for I don't even know, some 8th round rookie, and there's only 7 rounds in the draft. But because the delta is so wide between those two, you have to take the Watson side. Watson's elite. Watson's like the cheapest elite quarterback you can get right now, because everybody's all like their feelings are hurt that he wasn't gangbusters after being out for 2 years, which probably shouldn't have been surprised by.
Yeah, especially in a half PPR, Tyreek's actually startable, and Chark probably isn't. So yeah, I'm okay taking that side too.
So here's one I saw too that was a good one. If I own a late 23 first and I'm rebuilding, should I be more or less likely to trade out for a future first? I own the 112 and the 12 team Superflex start 8.
More. Again, we're flexing my math skills tonight, right? So if you're in a 12-team league and you own the 112, there's a 98.7% chance that pick you're going to get back is better than the 112, even if it's the 111. But it's got a chance of being a mid. Anything can happen. It's just going to be more valuable for a year. It's going to sit on your roster with some, like, almost a year. It's going to sit on your trade assets with this unknown, undefinable amount of what it could be. It's like a Bitcoin. It could be worth a lot more than the 112 can be. And you're making that 112, you make that pick. I don't know that that's going to help your team in this rebuild. Like, it's start 8. You need, God damn it, I'll say it. You need hammers. And 112 is generally not going to give you that.
So let me ask you this too, because that brought up a question. So if you're rebuilding and you want to trade that 112 and you can't get a quote unquote random 24 first, seconds aren't as valuable in a start 8 because the likelihood of them being on your starting roster in a start 8 is low. So how would you trade back with this 112? Would you still take a few seconds? Would it take like 3 seconds to give up a 112? Just a couple? Because it's, I guess, not that much different, a 112 from a second, right?
Well, the idea is 112 is probably outside of the starter threshold already.
Anyway.
So if I can get the 202 and the 208, basically what I'm doing is I'm taking similar bets with all of those players. None of those players I expect to be in a lineup in a start 8. But I think with this year's class, especially, you're getting pretty comparable pedigree and profiles at those spots. So if you're the rebuilding team, why wouldn't you? Literally, we talk all the time about taking 2 shots instead of 1, but this is the appropriate way to do it. This is the appropriate range to do it. Sometimes the 2 shots for 1, we don't measure accurately the quality of the shots, right? Like if one of your shots is inside like hammer range and the other 2 are slightly out of it, then that's a different trade. Here, you're trading all assets that are probably outside looking in. So why wouldn't you take multiple shots? That's kind of how I see it at the 112. Hint, hint, everyone will get a 106 video coming up soon. And we kind of talked about that being kind of the range in Superflex of where, like, what is the outside looking in? And if you're needing assets, you're willing to make a deal like this. If you were a dominant team, really good team that had the 110 and the 112, why are you making those picks? If anything, you're trying to re-roll those picks and kind of scam somebody that's an average team that could be worse to give you their future pick. So you can upgrade it with early and not having to pay much.
So rebuilding question, I guess if you have, let's say you blew it up completely, right? You're down to nothing. You took it down to the studs. How much are you willing to spend on an elite quarterback in Superflex to at least get a good foundation there? We always say the advantage is when one of those elite guys hits the block, make an offer. Would you give up 4 firsts? If you're stripped down to the studs in a rebuild, would you give up 4 firsts for Patrick Mahomes?
I mean, if I strip down correctly, then 4 firsts should be like less than half of my arsenal, right? Over the next 2 years. I'm not thinking in one season, unless they want to take like the 102, the 107, 19, and 111. Sure, then you can have them all. But 4 firsts, and I'm thinking over 2 years, should be something that you can afford to do if you've ripped it down to the studs. And that's something I would do because, yeah, we've talked about it before. It's not even that Patrick Mahomes is a discount. It's if someone's going to let you actually trade for him, you kind of have to take that shot right then and there. Now, would I trade the 101, 102, 103, and a 24 first for Pat Mahomes when my team is assable? Probably not. There's a good chance that I would go, you know what? I'm going to see if CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson can turn into a Patrick Mahomes, or more likely not. But, can they turn into a top 10 quarterback? So it's going to depend on the amount of picks I have. But I'm guessing just in a vacuum, yeah, I would do 4 if I could spread it out over 2 years. And some of you lunatics play in leagues where you trade 25 picks. So if you could throw those in somehow, sure.
If you have a process, you can constantly be, I mean, how often do we talk about splitting assets in the right places? That's probably how you amassed a bunch of future picks when you're rebuilding or you're gutting your roster. So really all you're admitting here is if you are, let's say you've stripped your team down and you have 7 firsts over the next 2 years, but you don't have much else. You don't have enough receivers. You don't have enough quarterbacks. You have no running backs because that's pretty much the last thing you're ever going to put on your team anyway. Okay, now you have to give up 60% of that capital just to get one quarterback. Really all you have to do is just admit, okay, this is probably going to be a little bit of a lengthy build because it's going to take me another year or two. Because now I've traded 4 of my 7 firsts. What do I probably got to do with those remaining 3? Find a couple of those to split, right?
Yep.
Add a couple seconds, add a third, take more shots, pick up more players off waivers. Like it's going to take time for things to change so you can still accrue value. But I think you'd still just take Mahomes when he becomes available, regardless of where your team is. Unless it's a very specific deal, I'm never trading him, which means if he becomes available, I'm putting out a market value offer on him.
Let's pull up this this inbox offer, and I think we had it in the chat too, starred, in which case I'll just unstar it. So 12-team Superflex, PPR, 1.5 tight end premium, start 11. Give George Pickens, Trey McBride, and a projected early 24 first. Get AJ Brown.
Package.
I feel like this is a biased question against me. I'd probably find a way to try to make myself convinced that I should take the AJ Brown side. Because I'm sorry, George Pickens and the 24 first don't equal AJ Brown. George Pickens ain't that dude. He ain't built like that. And McBride is a fluff piece. But it is start 11. Look, if I could afford it, I'm going the AJ Brown side, but more than likely I'm going to go to the Pickens side and then also try to trade Pickens to another fool for a first rounder. And then at least I turned AJ Brown into a couple firsts instead of, a first, an iffy tight end and a wide receiver that's overvalued.
If you're already saying that's an early 24 first, I'm guessing there's some signs that make it look like it's an obvious early 24 first. I'm not parting with that for a good receiver, but not a receiver where I'm like, it's making or breaking my roster. And I'm getting George.
And you're getting George Pickens.
I'm getting George Pickens back, and apparently that gets me knocked off the show. But I think with Pickens, despite Shane and I not liking him, and honestly, there's a lot of people that don't like George Pickens, so it's weird that there's like this sector out there that somehow he's wide receiver 22 or whatnot. But who actually wants him? Who's out there buying him? But at the same time, I do feel there is a market for him. So that at least that's an asset that I'm not trading back for. I wouldn't do this deal if it was Marquise Brown because he's not a liquid asset. I get the player. I like the player. But now with Pickens, I can go out and go, can I trade him for Marquise Brown in 2 seconds? Or, you know what I mean? And I can get a deal like that. All of a sudden, my AJ Brown has turned into 5 pieces. So I think getting the liquidity back in the Pickens piece is key.
So Colin asked, do you still make those process deals if the league is more shallow?
Less often for me. Look, shallow leagues is where when we talk about hammers, that's where it comes from, right? Because I'm like, fuck a process deal. I'm doing whatever it takes just to get the best roster so I can beat you to death with it. And I'll worry about depth and picks and all that stuff later. Because if I have, a starting lineup that's going to win 90% of the games, I don't care about the other stuff. Now, that is one way to quickly find yourself in 2 years aging out and going, crap. I had Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, Steph Diggs, and several other old people, and they're all aging out at once. So that's the only thing I would watch is I kind of try to make sure that my players aren't going to all age out at the same time. So
listen, you guys always get on me for an energy jinx, right? So I like bangs and I like monsters. And the place that I go, sometimes one's on sale and the other isn't. And usually it's 2 for 1, and those are the ones I'll buy. Those are the process deals in deep leagues, right? Sending the 1 pick for 2 players or sending the pick and a player for a pick. Those are the process deals in deep leagues. In a shallow league, you're probably looking at a process deal where it's all right, I went to Costco and it's buy a TV and get 1 free. It's a bigger deal, but the process is still going to sit at a certain spot. So you're always going to follow the process. It's just in shallower leagues, they're going to feel like bigger trades, right? They're going to be harder to get by people because you're probably trying to move bigger assets and your specifics of what you need to meet the process are higher.
Let's put this one up here from Hurricane Lane. Thank you guys for the continued effort into this channel. It's really starting to pay off. Side note, got into sports/fantasy writing this past month. Congratulations. It's been a blast. Trade the 109 for Brandon Ayuk.
Hey, Hurricane, DM me whatever you've written. In my old life, I used to edit, so I'll critique you and I'll be mean about it, but helpful. But no, man, that's awesome. Make sure you share that with us. DM me on Twitter or I guess on YouTube. I don't know. You can't DM on YouTube, right?
He could just post who he's writing for.
Yeah. Post it. Yeah, post who you're writing for, bro. But trade 109 for Brandon Ayuk. Well, put that back. What was the start?
It was just giving us credit for our show, helping him out so far.
Superflex, no, I'm taking the pick.
There was no, yeah.
Single QB, I'm taking Ayuk. There you go.
Yeah, because in Superflex, that trade's probably always going to be on the board, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, the 109, I can draft 14 different Brandon Ayuks, and no disrespect to Brandon Ayuk. It's just that he's like a wide receiver 2-3. You know what I mean? Like those aren't the guys that I'm particularly concerned about finding. I'll find those. Those dudes are literally everywhere.
So we've got 335 eyeballs in here on a Tuesday night. Good to see you guys as always. Sorry we were a little late. I had some technical difficulties. If you wouldn't mind looking down though, hit that little thumbs up, give us a like. We'd appreciate that. Easiest way to help out our channel, as I say. So we missed some super chats. StreamYard and YouTube is kind of quirky, and I knew it was going to happen again today, and I took a screenshot of the computer before it disappeared, or at least got most of one of them. Here's a missed one from last week.
I didn't miss that. I just need this on record. This was Clay missed this.
We missed this. Let's not blame it on StreamYard and YouTube. YouTube pays us now, right? Yes. What do you guys think about doing an auction for the rookie draft? Picks are assigned a value at the end of the season. What would your strategy be in this format, given my top players in draft capital? It's a 12-team Superflex PPR start 10. His top players are Watson, Lance, James Cook, Pollard, Ramondre, Gabe Davis, London, Pittman, and Njoku. I have almost $900. 2 other owners are sitting at $700, and then 2 more have $325. The rest are $200 or less.
So 2 issues. 1, these leagues are really fun, but you really do have to pick your times where you want to go all in or be all out on the draft capital. That's been my approach over the years. Just knowing what you sent in this 2-part question, the money is way too spread out here to the point where you almost have no leverage against the field. Sure, you're going to get a couple good players, but sometimes you amass like 4 firsts, 3 seconds, a couple thirds, and then it's like, damn, I have all this draft capital. And then you go, that's great, but I want to get one player, and one other asshole with the $700 busts you and makes you pay $650 for one player. All of a sudden, you've literally spent 4 firsts, 3 seconds, and a third on 2 players, and you're going, that wasn't a great use of my resources. So I'll just say, and Shane can chime in, but I know he's played in these too. I'm all in and all out. I'm doing what I can, especially in this year's class. How do I get not only the other stacks of money, but more importantly, and sometimes it depends on the roster or the auction rules, can I get other teams out? I don't want to be battling against 9 teams that all have $200 to $300. I want to be going against, I'm fine going against 2 other big stacks as long as it's just us 3. Because now it's like we all have no incentive to price enforce each other. It's like we don't have to continually buy out that annoying 300 stack that's going, well, fuck it, I'm just going to put 300 on every first round player and make everybody pay up for them. Otherwise, I'm going to get 1 or 2 of them. So that's my strategy. All in. I sell my future picks for next year. Give me all these. I'll sit out a year. If I can really dominate one side or 1 year, give me 50% of the money this year. I don't need to participate for 2 years because I can make that work.
Yeah, and honestly, that's how you're going to get better players anyway. Like you're trying to spread it out and be like, well, this year I'm going to, because there's always going to be at least 1 or 2 or 3 girls or guys in your league that are going to go, nope, I'm going to be the big stack. I don't care about 2024. And just like Scott was alluding to, like every trade I ever make in an auction draft or where there's auction money attached, every trade I made, I'm getting an extra 3rd or 4th in. I don't care. I'm just every trade. And, they're not stupid, but 1/3 to someone doesn't matter. But it's when I have like 6/3, it's like, oh, crap, that starts to add up. And Scott also alluded to it. Look, I won't say it's collusion, but when there's only a couple big stacks in there, people aren't bidding each other up unless they're just full on assholes. I mean, and you don't like the guy or girl, which is fine. That's fun too. You should ruin their lives. But a lot of times, like, there's this tacit, like, well, this is kind of who I want. I'm not really going to bid you up here because when I go for this guy, you're not going to bid me up. I wouldn't say it's collusion, but I would say it's colludable. No. It's collusion-like. So yeah, but the big thing is just you got to go all in one class and hope that you hit on it. So last year, if you would have went all in on the 22 class that everyone hated, you would have cleaned up because you would have just been slamming. Well, it looks like multiple wide receiver ones.
So let's put this up here. Jesse Morris is currently in a startup. So let's make sure we help him out here. He did what we suggested, or at least what we'd like to do in terms of moving back up into the first to get 2 elite QBs. So 14 teams, start 11, 2 tight end with a 1.75 premium, 25-man rosters. Following your guidelines, I started Mahomes Herbert. Gave up the 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounders, got back the 1st, an 8th, and a 13th. Traded back from the 5-10. I couldn't get a trade back at 605, other than the 1st and 2nd, but no later pick. So I went Chris Godwin. I'm up at the 7-10 with Ingram, McBride, Knox, Chiggy, the best left at tight end. How should I play it? Thinking Bateman here, and I'm up again early in the 8th. I have my 9 and 3 picks in the 10th.
This was a tight end premium, right? Coming back.
Yeah, 1.75 tight end premium. Start 2 tight end.
I'm taking Evan Ingram way far above Rashad Bateman. I would take Bateman over Knox and McBride and probably Chiggy.
It's 2 tight end.
Can I say his name? Okwabama. Is that what I said the other night? Oklahoma. But no matter what, I'm taking Ingram here. Like, Ingram's far and above Bateman.
I'll just say this. Kudos to Jesse because he got Pat Mahomes and Justin Herbert in a 14-team Superflex. Here's the beauty. You didn't give up your future picks. You got back as many picks as you traded. I don't even care if they're 13th, 12th round. All you need to do is just find points. Your team is going to be in the mix. And the beauty is next year, guess what? Your team's going to be in the mix because you have Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. All you have to do is continue just to add other pieces. Barring one of them suffers like a 8-week injury or something, your team is always going to have a floor of like, it's going to be dangerous. So you're in the perfect spot. Like, continue just to accrue value and buy points. That's what I would say. I think two tight end, 1.75 premium. Take Trey McBride. Take Chiggy Okonkwo. Like, I'm not even a big Chiggy Okonkwo fan because he's an outlier, but just take players that you can rely on to score some points once you get some of that, scarcity dried up with the tight ends. Then just take points. Who cares if they expire in a year or two?
So who are some player names, for example? Because you've done this recently, probably in startups. What kind of guys, like point scorers, do you find yourself getting in the cluster when you have the clustered in 9, 10 rounds like that?
I mean, I'm not afraid to take older running backs that are scoring points. So guys like James Conner, I mean, you take him in the startup at a certain point and you just acknowledge that next year I'm not going to have him. And if I do, then I got lucky. And then sometimes you take the discounted receivers that people go, I don't know if that guy has much ceiling. Who cares? That part of the beauty, and this is the idea of trading up in the first place. If you can get your roster construction right, that's what I talked about in the DD show a couple weeks ago. You're going to be able to basically go, okay, I don't have the elite skill players, right? So I'm just going to have to start, I don't know, Nico Collins this week, Josh Palmer this week, and you just put them in. And sometimes you get lucky and it's like, wow, I found a spike week with a guy that's wide receiver 52. And if he was your 7th receiver, guess what? He was never in your lineup. So you didn't capture that. So I just think he's in a good spot with Mahomes and Herbert. That's awesome.
The best thing that you want to happen when you do this is trading back some of your other picks and getting future first rounders, and then having one of those fake bad seasons where somehow you've got a top 5 pick in the draft of your own because, well, you had 2 quarterbacks and nothing else, but you're adding, the 105, and you have other people's futures first too. And then you can just go, all right, well, let me just trade a couple of these for players and let me just use, the other ones to make the picks. That's what I'm looking to do. I don't care. Look, I don't expect to win in year one just because I got the two best quarterbacks, because I know I'm going to be thin other spots, but I am looking on how can I compete next year.
So let's put up Drew's question here. It's an inbox trade. 12-team Superflex start 9, tight end premium 1.75, best ball. Give the 2023 104 and Jelani Woods. Get Jonathan Taylor. Already have Goddard, Freiermuth, and Njoku. And have the 101 as well. Smash?
Yeah, I don't care if it was you had to start a tight end and Jelani Woods was your only tight end, and you have to, like, your roster would be illegal without a tight end. You're doing this. Who cares about Jelani Woods? You're giving the 104 for JT, even a best ball. I think I'm going to smash that.
Shane's shaking his head, and I'm thinking the same thing. If I'm the person that is getting the other side, how do you look at this deal and then look at Drew's team and go, man, I'm really taking that Jelani Woods from him. That's really stinging him, looking at his other tight ends. Oh, he only has to give me the 104. It's just one of those where somebody must have seen something or heard something about Jelani Woods, and it's like, I need to get that pick in Jelani, but it's not hurting Drew's team at all. Smash it.
Look, and I used to do this too. Like, right, I'd read a write-up on someone and my dick would get hard about them, and I'd be like, oh, no, he's the next big thing. So I'm just going to get him snuck into a deal. And I think I'm sneaking Jelani Woods into the deal, and then I don't really tend to notice. They're like, oh, wait a minute. I just gave up JT for, you know what I mean? Like, why did I do that? Like, people get too hype over like players, specific players. Like, they're Jelani Woods, ain't it?
Is your mom on the stream again?
I hope not. I hope not. Jesus.
I hope not either. Earmuffs, Diane. Earmuffs. So here's a roster review follow-up question from Ralph, and I accidentally unstarred one of the parts, but I remember what it was because it was basically the same question I asked when we started the stream. But roster review follow-up, 12-team Superflex, Mahomes, Hurts, Love, Kenneth Walker, Najee Harris, Dobbins, Aaron Jones, Devontae Smith, London, Diggs, Godwin, Kirk, Cooks, Kelsey, Kmet, Likely. It was, should I trade Stephon Diggs for Brandon Ayuk and a 24 first? It's basically what we talked about at the start of the show, right? Yes. Always, yes, and always.
No matter you do it because you have Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Travis Kelce, enough running backs to get by, and you're not gutted at receiver. This is one of those where what is winning you or losing you your league is more than just the Stephon Diggs positional advantage, right? So, I mean, you already have the dominant quarterback room and the best tight end in the league. So I'm doing this. This is one of those moves where you're a little arrogant, right? You already know you have a stacked team, and now you're just taking the value and you're hoping you can make it work later. So smash it.
Yeah, that's how you keep dynasties going too, and keep contending as you get those little deals where you get a first back. Because normally teams like this don't have any first rounders, and you're just like being gifted a first there.
You do have to watch that you don't tear down too far, right?
Right.
You definitely have to watch that. And Diggs to Ayuk is straddling that line. I will say that it is very much straddling that line. And if Diggs wasn't 29 years old, I'd probably tell you to take this offer and stick it in your pocket. If Diggs was 26 or 27, I'd say, no, I'm good. You know what I mean? Because it is a pretty good tear down from Diggs to Ayuk. But considering the age, it lessens that. So I just say all that to say is, like, don't be like, oh, I traded Jamar Chase for a first and Brandon Ayuk. Like, no, you did bad. You did bad.
So let's put this one right here. It says feelings. Where is it? I lost it. Do you consider Jameson Williams to be a face planter as a rookie wide receiver? How about Treylon Burks? Grouping them because both missed time due to injury.
So Treylon Burks is interesting because I did put up his cohorts of wide receivers since 2018 that have scored, I think it was 8.6 or 8.4 fantasy points or fewer a season. I forget whichever it was. He was the cutoff I used, and it was something like 172 rookie wide receivers that hit that threshold or under. And I counted like on my hand the amount of ones that ended up being good. Now you can make the excuse that he was hurt, but that generally doesn't matter. Generally, if you're bad as a rookie, bad's a strong word. If you don't hit right out of the gate as a rookie wide receiver, you're not going to be a valuable asset in fantasy. Jameson, I almost feel like he just gets a pass, even though he shouldn't, but he didn't play it all last year until the final 2 games, and they were using him as a gunner and a linebacker, I think, which is a little concerning for other reasons. But if I had to bet binary, yes or no, yes, they're both going to face planters.
Quick answer, no, because both have the same trade value as they did last year. So if you hold them another year and they're not good, guess what? Your fault. And I think that's the biggest thing about face planners is, do they take a significant drop in value? You can argue why these guys did or didn't, but the reality is people still want Treylon Burks and people still want Jameson Williams. Now, can you get the 104 for Treylon Burks, which is what you probably spent on him last year? No.
107 or Treylon Burks? What are you going right now?
The pick. But relative to the class, though, you could still trade Treylon Burks for a pick probably at the very back of the first this year.
I'm sorry. I just looked at DLF's ADP. And look, I write for DLF, but sometimes I'm not sure about the ADP. But in a super flex, that doesn't matter. Treylon Burks, for some reason, is the wide receiver 17. What in the holy hell? I need to go trade for some of him so I can trade him away.
Well, I mean, the point is they're both top 30 receivers. So they really haven't fallen since last year. So the point is with face planners are typically when their value goes in the tank versus their actual production. The production is probably going to predict whether they're good or not in the future. But if you hold these guys and you go, oh, well, their value's fine, but I didn't sell them at this current value, and then their value is 50% less next year, they didn't face plant. You face planted managing the asset. So I think that's the thing. If you don't buy it now. This is what do we use the word for these types? Re-roll, right?
Yeah, you need to trade.
You could trade Jameson Williams for a top 3 or 4 receiver in this class. There's no harm in doing it.
Literally none, because based off historical comps of what they did in their rookie seasons, what they scored, neither of them are going to ever be any good. Could they be outliers? Sure. And if they are, I'm sure you'll point that out to me, but you won't point out the other 178 wide receivers to prove the point. You know what I mean? It's like a 4% hit rate or something ridiculous like that. So you should always trade them. And if for reasons that I can't believe, Treylon Burks is still the wide receiver 17 and Jameson Williams is the wide receiver 26 in Dynasty, then you need to cash out now.
And just to address this, I mean, what are we talking about when we're talking about trading value, right? Like I don't think Shane and I typically sit up here and we can tell you which players are going to be good and which ones aren't. Like that's not our expertise, right? Like we're usually dynasty players. We're talking value and strategy. So all I'm saying in David's point is he's right. Based on production, they are absolutely face planners. But you're getting a mulligan. Mm-hmm. You can still get out despite that. So if you don't, what are we really arguing about the production in the face planner? It doesn't matter. You still have an asset that's worth the same. Make your decision.
So here was another, here's one of the super chats that went away, but I did manage to capture this one. 12-team Superflex PPR start 10, Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Dak, Brees Seedy, T, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Schultz. No depth in sight. What are draft picks? At this stage of the build, what moves are you looking to make?
I mean, so this is his entire roster. I'm guessing there's no depth, obviously. Well, you got that extra quarterback to play with. Dak, preferably I'd like to move Dak, although T-Law's probably going to get you more back. And Brees, I love you, bro, but you're probably getting traded from my roster to make some moves. Your wide receivers are stacked, though. Mm-hmm. CDT, ARSB, Devontae, and he's naming Schultz as an asset, so it's pretty thin. So I'm guessing this is super thin. I mean, I might just look to move. What can I do with Dak? I don't know that
Maybe
I
get a
want to
little
move.
something on top of Daniel Jones, like just go
I
down
don't,
just a little bit, still have a decent QB3
dude. I'd move down to Jimmy Garoppolo if I can get enough
from
back
Dak.
on it. Yeah. So can I get a 107 and Jimmy Garoppolo for Dak, or maybe I can probably get more than that in a second next year, in a second and 25, and then can I split that 107 and trade that back to 2024 for a first and a second, something like that. I don't want to move Brees. You should move Brees, but I don't want to move Brees. Not with these wide receivers and those two quarterbacks. Yeah, that team can compete, thin or not.
I mean, I think this is applicable to the question we had earlier when you don't have the riches on your roster, but you have 3 quarterbacks and 4 receivers of this quality. I mean, why aren't you splitting? Can you get CD Lamb? Can you get another receiver and a first for CD Lamb? Another quarterback and a first for Dak Prescott. Boom. You have not disrupted your construction at all, and you're banking 2 extra firsts. If you can get those 2 deals, like now this team has just the same odds of contending and 2 firsts banked. So we said no depth in sight. What are draft picks? That's an easy way to get them. You just have to be willing. You're not going to create value out of the thin air. You're not going to go, oh, who's just going to give me some draft picks for my trash? Like, you're going to have to split a couple good assets.
I've tried that, by the way. Doesn't work. People
Doesn't work.
They won't make that deal with me.
Doesn't work. Let's go to this one right here. We already did that one. I didn't unstar it. Graphic 13, 12-team Superflex. I already had Mahomes and Herbert. Just traded the 201, a 24 first for Kyler Murray. Do you consider this buy low value? Yes. I plan to flip him come October, November.
Yeah, I would.
That's even the spot where Shane will go, I don't care if I have 2 other quarterbacks. I'm buying for that price.
Yeah, I mean, at that price, you're forcing me to. You're like, I have to get this. Like, all right. It's like when they give you a free sandwich. You're like, all right, I got to eat this second one, I guess, even though I'm not hungry. You have to do it. So, yeah, you do that. And then come this time, 7 months down the road, 8 months down the road, 9 months down the road, you decide on what 2 you want to keep. Well, Mahomes, obviously. And you go, all right, well, how Kyler look in that new offense? How does Herbert look in his new offense with who's his OC now?
That would be Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore. We're excited about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Kellen Moore.
It's better than Lombardi, right? That's who was there.
He destroyed the Eagles defense.
Kellen Moore used to sling some touchdowns at Boise State, boy.
Yeah.
Man, wasn't it Kellen Moore and then also what was the dude from Hawaii? Weren't they playing at the same time?
Mariota?
No.
Colt Brennan.
Colt Brennan, who went to the Redskins. Yeah. They would both like throw up just ridiculous games, like 5 TDs, 400 yards.
Was that was that the whack? No.
You're whack.
It was the whack.
Hawaii was in the whack.
Yeah.
Boise State was in the Mountain West.
Mountain West. There you go. Mountain West Conference.
All right. Alex straight out of Crompton. You guys, if you did a roster review for Alex, I guarantee that's what you would put. That's guaranteed what you would say at the start.
Yeah.
Love the content, guys. Best Dynasty info there is. Those are Alex's words. What should I ask for to move from Herbert to Lamar in a 12-team Superflex start 9, 4-point per pass TD? Other QBs are Watson, Dak, and Stafford.
I'm sorry. So he's moving from Herbert to Lamar, and he's getting stuff back?
Especially in a 4-point passing TD.
4-point, I would think it'd be the other way.
I just hit accept.
Or a wash. I think
Not
it would
the
be a
other
wash
way.
and a 4-point. Yeah.
I'd try a swap a first and a second in a start 9 because you're able to take an asset that's outside of the threshold with a second and try to get a first. I'd be fine with that. Lamar in a first for Herbert in a second and a 4-point. I'm good with that.
What if that sneaky move doesn't work in this guy's league?
How bad does he want Justin Herbert?
Wait, he wants Herbert?
He wants
instead of Lamar?
Yeah, it's Lamar.
No. He wants Lamar. How bad does the other team want Justin Herbert? I guarantee you the other team is thinking, man, how do I get off this Lamar? Because I'm not sure he's going to play next year, right?
Okay.
Herbert's got Kellen Moore. Leverage it.
What if he'll throw DJ Moore on top in the trade?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Is that enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Brandon Ayuk, since he's the wide receiver of the day.
He is. He's the wide receiver du jour.
Yes, he is.
Okay. Hopefully we helped you out there, Alex. Let's move on to Anthony West. Before the show, he was saying, I hope all you beautiful people are doing well. So we're definitely going to pull up a question. Good vibes from Anthony West here. Trade the 102, 106 DK Pickens and Pollard for Justin Jefferson. 10-team Superflex, half PPR, start 8. QBs are Dak, Watson, Kirk. Got Pollard as the only RB. DK Metcalf, Ayuk, and Bateman are the wide receivers. Pitts and Goddard at tight end. He's got 101, 102, 106, 107, and a third rounder.
Well, at first I'm going, man, you're paying a shit ton for Justin Jefferson. Then it's a 10-team start 8, half PPR. So I'm like, this is one of those where, what do we always say, Shane? You have one of these year where you just go empty the war chest for, I gotta have it. So I don't think it's too much. I mean,
and he still has the 101 and the 107.
Yeah, I'd try to nickel and dime maybe on the 106. Can I give the 107 or can I throw in a couple seconds instead? But if this is the price, then, you got one move like this. Let it rip.
And if it's sleeper, just ask for a 25-second back.
How many 25 first and seconds have you moved in your sleeper?
Not in sleeper yet.
Just slinging 25s.
Look, my sleeper league's been quiet. I've been sending out offers and no rebuttals at all. No.
Have you sent me an offer yet tonight? I want to make a trade on the stream tonight.
I'm not saying
one of the listener leagues.
Not playing favorites or anything, but the other show I do, Dynasty Trades HQ, I made a trade with one of my co-hosts on the air, and it was a lot easier than trying to make a trade with one of the co-hosts on this show, and I won't mention his name.
Okay, let's moving on then. Let's pull up John's here. 12-team PPR Superflex start 10. Quarterbacks are Lamar, Kyler, and Sam Howell. Running backs are JT, K-Walk, Ramondre. Wide receivers are Chase, Tyreek, Amon-Ra, Gabe Davis. He's got Hawkinson and Kmet, the 105, 106, a late second, and 324 firsts. Next move.
Too many running backs. Probably not enough running backs. Probably some roster clogger receivers that we don't see in this. So I would say you probably need to split Ken Walker over Ramondre Stevenson. Dump one of those, liquidate one of those. Shane?
Oh, I stopped paying attention. But yeah.
Boy, he's excited for that answer then. You stop paying attention.
Well, this is what happens when we turn super chats off. I'm not going to lie to you. My mind starts to wander.
Oh, yeah, that's the reason. That's the reason. What about every single one of our show recordings?
Every single day.
You know what I want to do? I want to see, all right, well, what can I do at Lamar, or excuse me, not Lamar. Can I get Kyler and Ramondre, and what quarterback can I get with that? Like, can I get into that next year? And I love Kyler. It's just that he's not going to play
like that
for
too.
half a year next year. So, and Ramondre is, what do you call that guy? A sell, because people think he's a top 6 dynasty running back, and he might be. It's just he's still the same dude that was drafted 2 years ago, like a late round running back, and I like him, but
sell Ken Walker. That's the one I think you could add to Kyler and move for a legitimate quarterback.
If you sell,
got to be him, not Ramondre.
If it's Ken Walker and Kyler, then you need to give me Hurts, Herbert.
Go get Herbert.
Yeah.
Try for Herbert. Try for Lawrence. One of those two.
Yeah, it's got to be. Oh, if it's Lawrence, I want something more with it.
Go for Burrow. You got Chase.
Do that too. Get them all.
I mean,
no, don't do that.
Sorry, I just moved that. Were you going to say something, Scott?
No, I think the instructions are clear. You want to get rid of one of those running backs and try to turn Kyler into a better quarterback. It's going to be tough, but that's one of those. He has a good enough team. You just make the move, pay the price when one of them becomes available.
You don't want to be going to the battle next year with Sam Howell starting half the season for you. It's rough.
I did like the Sam Howell with the LOL at the end. You could literally you could go Sam Howell and just tack an OL at the end. That would be pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right. What a dad joke that is. Shane should say squirt for the people.
Squirt for the people.
Squirt for the people. Okay, let's put up another one here. Let's put on Mr. Padilla's. Did it used to be Master Padilla? Mr. Padilla.
Yeah.
So now say that first name, Shane. Say that.
Benisaldo.
That's actually pretty decent.
It's pretty
decent. It's incorrect, but pretty decently incorrect.
Ben Sislato?
I don't think there's a cis to it. I think it's more like Ben
Sislato.
Ben Salado. Yes, that's how you say it.
Okay.
That's probably not
So,
even close.
so you're currently on the clock at the 12-13 turn. You have 2 picks: Josh Downs, Antonio Gibson, Tyler Higbee, or Spears. Underdog little board. I have QBs are Burrow, Geno. Running backs are Swift, Gibbs, Rashad White. Wide receivers JJ, DK, Juju, Josh Palmer. Tight end, he's got Kittle and Ingram.
I'm not taking
Not
Tyler Higbee.
taking. I'm
Not
not
Higbee.
taking.
Oh, I'll take Spears.
Yeah, I'd probably go
I
down.
go
Downs.
Spears and Downs.
Downs, yeah. And look, and I don't want to take credit for this because you guys will probably snitch on me. But JJ Zacharyson has shown, has done a bunch of podcasts, and he's talked about how rookies are like good value at that point of drafts, late in drafts, and redraft or best ball in this case.
Okay, let's go to Joseph Lukens. 10-team Superflex half PPR, have the 105 and 106 and trying to trade Kelsey. Kelsey is 1 year, 16 million. Won the league 2 years in a row. Congrats. What is a fair offer to trade Kelsey away? Have Njoku contract league.
Contract leagues are tough because obviously I'm guessing the league doesn't really. Maybe they do. Maybe they value Kelsey, but if he's on a 1 year deal, I kind of just, part of me says I don't want to trade him unless I'm getting a very specific player that I'm pivoting off of. So I have to probably get Andrews, Hawkinson, Goddard, and it's got to be probably on a multiple year deal for me to be willing to do it straight up. I got to have that extra year or two.
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey's getting into that range where I'm probably not going to be able to ever get the value of his production, right? But if I can get out for a Goddard and a first, sure. If I can somehow snooker someone into giving me Kyle Pitts, even if I have to put something else into it, which is I'm still going to lose on production next year. I'll just assume that's true. I would look to do something like that.
I mean, he's got Njoku, so he doesn't necessarily have to get a tight end back, but it's also a contract league. So, like, I'm not sure of the viability of some of the process trades because there's contracts involved.
Yeah, and there's going to be that. Kyle Pitts was, I'm assuming he's probably a hefty contract because he was a top, 5 pick in the NFL draft. Usually it correlates in some way.
When is the 106 video dropping? I may or may not have the 106 in so many spots. Shane, when are you dropping that one?
We recorded that yesterday.
We
right?
recorded it last night.
Last night.
Yeah.
As
it ended
usual.
up being another long one.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, thanks to all the subs who sent the 106 rosters to me. You can stop sending those to me now though, because we recorded last night. So the cutoff time was like 7 p.m. last night, and I'm still getting all sorts of 106 rosters.
Yeah,
But
I'm sure that
I love you either way.
Thursday or Friday, and whenever it comes out, I'll be surprised because I'm always surprised when Clay.
Shane doesn't even remember when we.
I mean, that's basically why I'm like, oh, we did that video. Oh, that's great. Good timing on that, guys.
I'll post this to the group real quick. So, do you guys know that Shane does not even watch our show? He doesn't even watch our show because he doesn't want to look at himself or hear himself. Tell Shane in the comments that he needs to watch this show. It's actually a good show. That's why we're doing it, Shane.
It is. I get to watch it while we're doing it.
You watch the TikToks, right?
I do watch some of the TikToks.
Yeah,
well, I
they're
don't
like
have
25 seconds.
Right, because by the time I repost them somewhere, the whole video is played.
That matches Shane's attention span.
Yeah.
TikTok and YouTube Shorts. That's where he gets all of his quality trades and live content.
Like a freaking goldfish.
Yeah.
Okay. 270 videos had a question too. He said, I'm addicted to trading for future firsts. I have multiple leagues with 10 plus firsts in 23 and one league where I already have 10 plus firsts in 23, 24, and 8 in 2025. Want to spend up, but QBs are hard to get.
Dude, you have 10 firsts and 23. You have 18 firsts over the next 3 years. Train 9 of them and go get 2 quarterbacks. Like literally, just be like, you get 4, you get 5. Let's make it happen. Dude, you should be trying to get Patrick Mahomes and who's the QB2 right now? I guess Josh Allen, maybe Jalen Hurts. You should be trying to do that. Like you have 18 firsts. 9 of those are for sale. 9 of them. 10. Let's make it even. 10 of them are for sale.
Clean 10.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked about it before that there is diminishing returns when you have this many picks, because not only do you have so much control of the market, but the rest of the market actually just bottoms out because they acknowledge that you have all the picks. And it's almost like they're just disengaged now because they have to go through you to get a pick in the next 3 years. So I think I'm almost looking at this like you acquired all these picks, just have fun with them. Go add a couple other leagues where you don't do this and just play those differently. But I kind of would love to see someone give Shane a league where he has 18 firsts over the next 2 years and just see how long before it gets disrupted within 30 minutes. Like
minutes.
That house is going to be in shambles. Maybe it's not going to be bad. It's just going to be different than what you gave him.
Oh, it won't be bad. Look, I'm like an artist. I'll tell you right now, Scott's more process driven than me. When you give me a bunch of pieces to assemble something, I can't do it in real life. I cannot put things together with my hands. In the real world, I'm freaking useless. But you give me a bunch of draft picks and players, mid players, I'm going to come out with a stacked goddamn lineup because it's going to be like art.
You're on mute.
He has Mahomes.
You're passionately on mute.
He has Mahomes, but he also has 18 firsts. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, you're good.
In Gardner,
you don't even need Mahomes. All right, go trade 9 firsts for Justin. No, like that.
Price check on Kyler Murray for a rebuilding team.
Can I send the 201 and a 24 first? I mean, send it, right? We saw someone try it.
Here's the thing.
Less than 2 firsts, but I'd be willing to work in those waters as long as I wouldn't give the 102 for him because that gives me the chance to pick my QB1. But anything outside of that, I'd be okay. And anywhere in the 1 to 2 firsts, I think is fair.
Here's something I do to ground myself. Sometimes I do go on to the DLF Trade Finder, and mostly because it's free for me. I'm not plugging them, but it looks up trades. So I'm just like, what's Kyler Murray going for? You know what I mean? And I look for the worst ones on there and I go, all right, let me make those offers in my league. And just so if someone does say, well, what are you doing? That's crazy. Why would you offer that to me? I'd be like, oh, it's a real world trade that I've seen happen. But back to a more realistic proposition. I feel like the 104 plus a 24 first would work for me. And this might cause a ruckus. I'm fine taking Stroud and Bryce Young over him right now.
Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't give up a 104 and 24 first for Kyler right now.
No,
I might not do it either. I'd probably want Anthony Richardson and then just go with the 24 first. Here's the thing.
I don't think I could give up. Yeah, I wouldn't even give up the 102 for Kyler.
Yeah.
Or I would give up the 103, maybe 104. Yes, but that wouldn't get accepted by the other guy. But yeah, 10.
Here's the thing. Right now, everything feels heavy because it's like, that doesn't feel like a discount until Kyler Murray's the QB8 the last 8 games and next year, and then again is top 10. He's never been worse than like QB8 points per game. Like if you look at it from that perspective, like the biggest problem with buying him now is you're basically going, well, I'm likely not going to compete next year because I'm going to be playing down a quarterback unless you for some reason have just a plethora of quarterbacks.
Okay, so T-Bone Jones at T-Bone Jones, if you are in here, if you wouldn't mind posting the second part of your super chat. I got your first part with a screenshot before everything disappeared, but I don't have the second part. Okay. So this was, well, let's just fill in the blank for him. It was probably fairly short. So 12 team Superflex, start 9. QBs are Herbert, Lance, and Jimmy G. RBs are Brees and Algier. Wide receivers are A.J. Brown, C.D. Lamb, Jalen Waddle, D.K. Metcalf, Hawkinson, and Knox at tight end. I own the 101. Simply pick Bijan or look at that team. It's got the 101.
I mean, you can go 2 different routes. Like Shane would say, you can go Bijan and Brees Hall and just try to smash people with those 2, or you can try to probably turn Bijan and Trey Lance into a better quarterback. Like what can Trey Lance plus the 101 get you? Can it get you into that top 6 tier? If so, I'd rather go that route and lock down the quarterbacks and just kind of worry about what I'm doing with the other picks or my other assets later. Or you trade back and you acquire 2 assets here and you take another shot at a rookie quarterback and then another pick. So could you get 104 and 106, 104, 107, something like that? It wouldn't be terrible even in a start 9 because you do need to fill out your roster a little bit.
Yeah, I went to second quarterback. As much as it's fun as it would be to just take Bijan here and go, I'll figure it out the rest. Right? Lance could be a top 10 quarterback. I don't know what the hell. What's John Lynch doing over there? He's scaring me. So yeah, let's lock down the quarterback position. Can Lance and the 101, can that get me Hurts, Allen? You know the names, the elite guys.
Yep. Okay. What did I say his name was again? At T-Bone Jones. If for whatever reason we didn't give you enough of an answer there, just email dynastytrades5@gmail.com and let us know. We'll give you some more color around that. Okay. So let's move that one there. Here's another one. What do you all do when you're targeting a player that's volatile or a buy low? Every time I try to buy a player like that, the person I'm asking is sussed by why I'm asking.
So you don't go to the player directly and go, hey, let me try to buy your Isaiah Pacheco, right? Because they're probably going, I don't know what to do with him. I should probably sell him because he's a 7th round running back, but Shane just let it be known that he wants him. So now I think I have Shane like in a vice grip, like he's gonna pay me for Isaiah Pacheco. And a lot of times it's just I'm interested, but I'm not gonna overpay. You know, like I want him. I'm probably coming to you for a reason, but I think the way to get these types of deals done is you gotta mask him into a bigger trade, or you gotta mask him into a deal where you're swapping 2 neutral pieces that maybe they'll favor on the market. So example I gave earlier is instead of trying to go and buy in a player specifically for like a third, throw in somebody that the market might like a little bit, like a Wan'Dale Robinson or something, and get back another receiver that's the same, but he's not a second-year player with a good profile. But really the idea is you're just swapping 2 receivers that are in the same range, but that might trigger the person to go, okay, I'm getting enough value here that I'll sell you the player for a third instead of haggling and asking for a second.
Okay, let's see here. Clay, accept that offer I just sent in pandemic. Okay, I'll have to pull
No,
up an
because
offer.
he can't accept offers until he accepts one from me. We've been in 14 leagues together for 36 years, and I've never made a trade in my life.
You gonna accept an offer from a guy that says this, Clay?
I look like CMC and Peyton Manning combined. Yeah, I got the forehead. What's the CMC though?
CMC's a good-looking dude.
I can kind of see them. I can see the McCaffrey a little bit.
It's the blonde. It's just the blonde.
It's the blonde. Yeah.
Real quick, there's a couple leagues. I just wanted to look up Kyler Murray. Someone traded Jordan Love, Matthew Stafford, and a 2nd-round pick for Kyler Murray in a start 9 Superflex. So, yeah, that's what we call buy low. Trey Lance and Amari Cooper for Kyler Murray. I'll buy Kyler Murray all day for that.
Would you give up the 110 in a 12-team super flex start 10 for Jordan Love right now?
It's interesting with Jordan Love and Trey Lance because you could compare them to Will Levis and go, they're not that different. They're all kind of the same age too. So if you're going to take Will Levis at 106 or 107, I mean, I think that's fair. You want either one. I probably would just rather keep the picks just because I probably don't have the need to want to go get Jordan Love right now. But if someone gave up the 110 for one of those guys, that's fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't yell at them and call them names. Not for that specifically. I'd probably yell at them and call them names anyway because I'm a terrible person. But I personally would not give up a 110 for Jordan Love. And I could definitely live to regret that. For Trey Lance, yeah, I'll give it up, which is weird because they've equally shown us nothing.
Would you smash accept any 24 first you're given for Jordan Love? You have Jordan Love. You're taking any 24 first easy.
Yeah.
You going?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Likely Lance too.
Weird question. What are we doing with Calvin Ridley? If you keep him, what are you hoping for? If you trade him, what are you trying to get for him? Shane, you're the resident Calvin Ridley lover.
I am the Calvin Ridley correspondent. I mean, if you're holding on to Calvin Ridley, it's probably because you hope your team can compete in some way next year. And if it can't, you're just hoping that his value is going to improve upon the probably 209 that you've been offered. But any way you crack it, any way that nut breaks, he's going to be 30-year-old wide receiver after next year. So his value is probably not going to go up. Like at this point, he's just kind of a buy for production, and just know that you're not going to be able to flip him. So if he's in my league and I think I have a good roster, maybe I offer multiple thirds for him just to see if someone will bite on that. I mean, they shouldn't. They should be ashamed of themselves if they do, but that's probably what I would do. If I can get a high second for him and I roster him, I would do that.
I think you probably know what Calvin Ridley is. The odds, I see people saying he could be a top, he could be back to a top 12 receiver. Like that's extremely unlikely. He's probably a threshold receiver. He has a good quarterback and he has a good offense. It's like you can buy into him being like pretty safe to give you 12 points per game-ish. But I think if you're getting anything more, if you're getting up into the premium range where I can turn him into a first plus or a first, I'm going to consider that because it's hard to get hard to liquidate receivers in that range for picks like that.
Yeah, he's one of those players like, or can I add the 203 to him and get the 108? Like one of those deals. You know what I mean?
I mean, look at Christian Kirk the past year. Look at his value trajectory. Would you have ever been like, I'm giving a first for Christian Kirk without thinking about it? No. Honestly, you can probably say Ridley's very similar. So I wouldn't treat him as anything different than that.
Ridley was a much better wide receiver, but he's also 29.
But he's older and he hasn't played.
He hasn't played in a year and a half. So,
So let's put this one up here. How high are you taking the rookie 101 in a full PPR, 10-team super flex, 10 starters, startup snake draft?
I would take it after Chase, Jefferson, and the 9 quarterbacks, and I'd be comfortable taking it. So that would be like the 112, and the caveat being you have control to build your team around making that selection. That's the biggest thing. You take it, you take the 101, guess what? You're probably not taking another running back for a while. So I think that's where you would probably take it if you're going, I'm building my team around Bijan. I don't think we would advocate that, but I don't hate it at that spot.
No, I mean, at that point, you've already taken the elite quarterbacks off the board. You've taken the 2 most, what's the word I'm looking for, valuable non-running back or non-quarterbacks in Chase and Jefferson. I'm fine with taking Bijan then. You know what I mean? Like Bijan versus Trey Lance, Bijan versus Kyler Murray. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're looking at it like, all right. Look, is it great taking a running back at this point, I think it'd be the second round of this draft, but it doesn't feel great, but I could see doing it. I mean, on the turn, I might just get all crazy and be like, all right, now I'm taking JT too, and I'll get a quarterback tomorrow. And then, we'll see how I feel about that later.
Yeah, it was a 12 team, but I just took him at 203. So Kyler, Dak, Tua, and then I took the 101. And then right after that was CD, Pitts, AJ Brown. So,
I mean, what are people doing taking Tua over the 101?
I can't do that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So on the turn, the 12th pick.
Maybe he's listening here. Okay, let's move that one there. The rookie wide receiver in 2023, in my opinion, are weak. Am I wrong? We talked a lot about it in the 106 show, but what are your thoughts here? We'll save some.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll keep it brief. Like we talked about it in the 106, I think it's a receiver class that is going to be weaker than previous classes, but the pedigree is going to be good. They're going to get draft capital. So if you value draft capital and you value pedigree, then you can value this receiver class kind of the same as the past couple of years. But I'm not looking at this class going, man, I'm going to hit on foundational receivers, right? Like I'm looking at Olave, London, Garrett Wilson and going like, I would easily take any of those guys over any choice of a receiver this year, regardless of where they land or where they get drafted. But are you going to get a bunch of Jerry Jeudy's, Brandon Ayuk's, that types in this class? Yeah, sure. That's fine.
I mean, here's the thing, and it's going to be fun to say. We didn't know we were getting Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and
Drake London.
Drake London, we knew.
True.
Drake London was kind of the given, but we didn't know we were getting Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson out of that draft last year. We didn't realize they were going to be that. And if you did, kudos to you, because the ADP doesn't support your contention. There's a reason that, I like Garrett Wilson was my wide receiver 1. But I had absolutely no expectation from him to have the season that he did as a rookie. So now they look like, they're like, well, top 8 startup wide receivers, right? So these guys that are coming in this year are going to have similar draft capital. There's going to be 5 wide receivers that are probably drafted in the first round. You can't just dismiss that. JSN, while we're doing this, is tweeting out that he's basically, it looks like he's going to run at the combine. Maybe he goes out there and runs a 4.45 and sets the world on fire. Next thing you know, he's a top 5 pick. Just saying, it's hard to say. Wide receivers are a little harder to predict, I think, than we want to admit to.
That's why you just submit to the pedigree when they get top 25 draft capital, and you go,
Right.
I don't love Jalen Hyatt compared to this receiver from last year, but you still have to respect that he should go in a certain range.
Yep. Okay, we're gonna do 2 more. So Scott, pick one. Shane, pick one.
Oh shit.
Got to throw in one more curse word into the live stream. Where's your mom? Your mom didn't show up tonight.
She didn't.
I'm
She's
disappointed.
ashamed of me after the last show. I don't blame her.
I'm gonna throw this one up. This is my boy Cody. What's your highest draft pick you'd send for Daniel Jones today in the Superflex? I sent a Jones for a 107 in a 16-teamer. But I also got back a couple other picks, and I'm just banking. And it's a 2 tight end league. It's a little bit of a different league, so I'm banking that I want the liquidity with the 107. But I think it's probably. Listen, I bet you a lot of people would take Daniel Jones over Will Levis. So wherever you think he's going to go, a pick or 2 ahead of that, I don't think it's out of line to send that pick. So 107 to 109 range.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. First thing that popped in my head is 109. It's just that's the first thing that pops in my head. I don't want to do. Wait, that's an inbox trade. I don't like being put on.
You gave Shane way too much power here because he
should have just picked a question. I'm just going to close my eyes and.
Oh, this always goes well.
Okay.
Nothing happened. No, there we go.
See what we have here.
Oh, cap space. You picked a salary cap one.
Okay, so hide that for everybody.
Who was that? Sorry,
no, we gotta answer it now.
Yeah, we gotta answer it. We gotta.
No.
Okay, after this one, we'll put it up. Have 424 first in a solid starting lineup, switching to compete in 12 teams, start 9, but little depth, especially at RB. Wait to liquidate assets as injuries pop up next year, or buy more hammers.
Short answer. You shouldn't need to worry about which running backs you're buying right now because we're still 6 months from the season. If you want to buy one, that's fine. But I mean, what did I say earlier when a person had Ramondre, Jonathan Taylor, and Kenneth Walker? Too many of them right now. Can you liquidate one? So I'd be fine going into the season with a couple guys I know I can play and a bunch of bodies. But having those 4 first, you can bail yourself out at any time.
Okay, here's the one here. Joseph, he has the 10.
Shay, you get one question. He picks the most complex one, which is fine, but then he doesn't want to answer.
It's an RSO league, double super flex.
Just bails. Okay. Have the 103, 105, 110, and 201 10-team double. Get to read this out. I'm geeking out here. 10-team double super flex, 3.02 and 304 RSO league, 80 million to spend, 4 QB limit. QBs are Cousins and Mack, thinking of signing Goff. Most cap space in the league. How do I improve QBs?
All right. Well, one, you got to look to whoever the worst teams are in the league and see if they have a heavy cap number at quarterback and they need to move it. Just like the NFL has been doing with wide receivers lately, where they've been moving them because the team that has them can't afford them anymore. Think Tennessee. I know that his contract wasn't up, but let's just assume that that's how it works. Look for the worst teams with the best quarterbacks and see if you can eat a bunch of that space for them. I'd even take on more space too. Do they have a bad contract to Darren Waller? Do they have a bad contract to try to think of another an older player, Michael Thomas? You know what I mean? Because you have a ton of cap space, and Michael Thomas should only have 1 year left on his deal, I think, on the RSO. But I'm looking at deals like that. Can I get a really good quarterback from you if it's a lot of cap? And I might even take on some dead cap from you, taking on a bad contract, and I'll throw you a pick. So I'm going the whole Browns route too.
So I'm reading this as it's a 10 team, but it's 2 super flexes and a starting quarterback, so you can start up to 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely need 4, but the limit is 4. So I do think I would try to get, like Shane was talking about, can I take on one with some higher upside? But I'm fine with like Cousins, Mac Jones, Jared Goff, and that one other one, and then just draft the skill players with the rest of the picks. And the benefit of RSO is the skill players come with really, really manageable contracts. So it is kind of valuable to give people like a 103 that has a cap problem. You're giving them a really good chance to bail themselves out, not with a good player, but also with the cap space. So use that to your advantage. Like I totally agree with Shane. Go to the team that is in cap trouble. What could you buy from them, and then worry about what to do with your picks later? I wouldn't be stuck on a quarterback. Maybe their best player is Devontae Adams and he doesn't want to pay him, and you can take him on for super cheap, like a second. Do that.
Yep. Okay, so just a couple housekeeping items here that you hear at the end of Zoom conference calls at real jobs. So roster reviews, we are still doing them. You can send an email to dynastytradesin5@gmail.com. We have got a little bit of a backlog going. Shane and Scott are still hammering through them. I know you guys have done a lot, but we still have a backlog indefinitely. So shoot us an email. I will be a little bit late on the reply, likely. I've got probably 6, 7, 8 to respond to now as we speak. But send us a message. We'll give you the details, costs, all of that good stuff. We do have to charge for them to give Shane coffee and car windows and things of that nature. What else? We are going to do another listener league when we hit 1 million views. Okay, we're at like 875 or something like that, I want to say. I was doing some math and it looks like it's going to be within the next month or so, something like that. So we will keep you posted on that. We're also going to do
the more you watch the show, the sooner that the listener league will be announced.
Exactly. We'll write up what Shane just said and send that out. And then we're gonna do we got to do some mocks with the subscribers. So we'll figure out some way to do that and pick people to be on those mocks. But that'll be fun. Guys, would you like to say bye to our Tuesday crew who already hit the like?
Yeah. Thanks for everybody for coming out. Quicker show tonight. This is the last week, I think, before we get some true Dynasty information. We're going to get the combine, then free agency is going to be starting, and then it's going to be like 3 to 4 weeks of what the hell do I do now, because a ton of players are going to change value. We're going to be looking forward to the rookie drafts or the NFL draft. So we'll be back next week, and there'll be a lot of new information to go off of. So appreciate everybody for tuning in again. Almost 400 strong the entire night. So just thank you to everybody for the 7,000, and who knows where it could go. So appreciate everyone.
Yeah, appreciate you all. And just in case you don't think I care about you, just know that instead of doing this, I could have picked up my ex-wife from the airport, but I allowed her to get an Uber. hard choice, hard decision, but you know what? I love you guys
for a reason.
Ex-wife, yeah. No, appreciate everyone again, all the views, all the subs, everyone coming in on Tuesday nights and checking us out.
Yep. All right, we'll see you guys soon. And be on the lookout for the 106 show Thursday or Friday. See ya.